didn't know what the deal was.
Well,
And nobody to ask at the time. We were pretty sure that it wasn't anything.
I'd ask Steve Bauman, our county appraiser, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the August 14th, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. First item of business, please.
First item, proclamations, presentations. Presentation of the second quarter report from Grace Med, Alice Weingartner, Grace Med Health Clinic.
And, ma'am, if I can, I would, before we get started with Grace Med, I'd like to pull item D1. There was a sickness in our family that we couldn't avoid. So if there's not an objection to that, pull item D1. Okay, thank you. Alice.
My cue?
Yeah, you're ready. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's nice to see you this morning. This is our second quarter report for the activities that are taking place with Grace Med. I believe you should have a copy that was in your packet. So just to kind of go through the report a little bit, we do continue on our Project Wellspring campaign to raise the funds to remodel the former Dillon's building at Huntoon and Lane. I'm happy to report that when I submitted this quarterly report to you, we noted that we were about 59% of our funding had either been donated or pledged. As of today, we're at 66.2%. So you can see that progress continues to be made. We did submit an application for the Kansas State Tax Credit Program, and if we get that, we would be getting $250,000 in state tax credit that we would then be able to help those who do want to make donations to the campaign and support them as well in that way. We do expect to have a couple more significant foundation applications go in the near future. And again, as always, if there are individuals who are interested in supporting the campaign, please feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached at 478-5901. We continue to recruit providers to fill some of our provider positions. We did have a new mid-level provider, a nurse practitioner, join us at the end of July, and then we have another one starting in October. As in case you're not aware, back to school has happened and is happening. We continue to have opportunities for kids who need their physicals and their immunizations. They can call our office to make an appointment. We did do a small campaign here in Topeka. And just as a highlight of that campaign, for those of you that saw the commercial, it did have our new Miss Kansas in there, who had been a former employee of Grace Med. So we're pretty excited that she was able to represent us in that campaign. This weekend started National Health Center Week, so August 13th through the 19th, nationwide community health centers are going to be celebrating this event this week. We will be holding an event at our Highland Park Clinic on Wednesday from 5 to 7. We will have staff on hand who can help individuals make appointments, learn about our organization, tour our clinic there. We will also have representatives from the library, the police department, the fire department, and be handing out frozen treats. So we'll have a limited number of those available as well. Our oral health outreach program continues to grow. We expect to have more than 11 schools that we'll be sending staff to starting this fall and providing that preventive services to children in the community. So we're really excited about that and really just see that as planting the seed for our expanded dental services once we get our clinic completed at Huntoon and Lane. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for Alice this morning? Yes, Commissioner Cook.
Thank you. I know on the attachment we have the number of hours that were worked, but how does this compare to the Shawnee County Health Agency? Have we seen numbers increase, decrease, or remain the same with Grace Med?
You know, that's a really good question, Commissioner Cook, and I can honestly say that I have not looked at those numbers, and so I will make sure that we have a point to do that. My gut tells me that we're a little bit higher, but again, I need to go back and really look at those numbers to make sure. I know we've started to see some changes in our payer mix, which was one of the things that we needed to focus on so that we were increasing our Medicaid population and our Medicare population, so that we have seen some changes in. But I can certainly look at that closer.
Because I know the safety net identified the number of people that were not being addressed and the number of population that we have for growth or to address, and just looking to say as we transition, and I know that we're still in a transition period with Grace Med, but how we're doing in that transition.
You bet, you bet.
Good
Thank you.
question.
Yeah,
Good question.
thank you.
Commissioner
I
Bueller?
don't have any. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
It's very
Yes.
Great,
appreciated.
nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Alice.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Comments or questions on the consent agenda? There were 9 items.
I have none. I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
This morning, Commissioners, we have vouchers that total $1,265,627.87. Of the vouchers, the 4 highlights are payroll, a building with Americrete, health insurance, and Parks and Recreation. I do not have any questions regarding the vouchers and would move for their approval.
A second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers by Commissioner Cook. That was seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Human Resources, number 1, consider approval of request to advertise and fill a payroll assistant position at a salary including benefits of $50,665.60.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. I'd like you to consider opening the payroll assistant position. I've had one of my team members resign.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B2, consider approval of tuition reimbursement for Melissa Saviano, HR payroll assistant, in the amount of $1,243.44 for online classes for the fall 2017 semester at Fort Hays State University.
Again, payroll is a very integral part of what we do here at the county. We are losing one member of our payroll team, but we certainly want to keep the other one that we have. She is wonderful to work with and work for, and I'd like to make her a county employee for life. So I'd like to invest in her and approve tuition reimbursement.
Yes,
I'll
Commissioner
move-
Cook.
I'll move approval of this, and I think this is something that, is not always brought to the attention of our department heads as much as it could be. We should be making these investments back into our employees, and we do have a tuition reimbursement where it is applicable and applicable to the job that they're doing, and so this is one that I support and would like to see more of. So,
Me too. Me too. Is that a motion?
it is.
I'll second and note that we do have the procedure for approval of tuition and other educational expenses, and the employees are aware of all that includes, so, and she signed off on that, so, yes, second.
Maybe an additional announcement or reinvigorating the program, letting people know more would be a good idea at this point.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to send out a communication.
I think that'd be a great idea. Thank you. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Next item, please.
Item C, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of the recommendation of the Professional Selection Committee for professional services to provide a recreation management software system and authorize Parks and Recreation to enter into the contract negotiations with Civic Plus Civic Rec.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, excuse me, Parks and Recreation. Just regarding that previous item, it took me almost 8 years to get my bachelor's, so you might want to put some limits on those expenses there.
That's pretty
But
impressive.
I had every class at
Only 8
Bethany
years.
twice. Yeah, I had every class at Bethany twice, so you can't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Commissioners, this is a request for a recreation management software. I'd like to kind of clarify just a little bit. We involved the Information Technology Department from Shawnee County from the beginning, too. The Professional Services Selection Committee did not believe that it would really be fair to compare them with the other vendors. So what I'm bringing to you is the highest outside vendor and the recommendation to go with that highest outside vendor. But as you can see down there in the explanation on my memo, one of the key members of our team was Shane Plemons from the IT department. I have no doubt that our IT department could create this, but this one's already created. The time to implement this, the staffing cost, I recommend you go with the outside vendor, which is been identified as Civics Plus. They're a company they just bought and named Civic Rec. Be happy to answer any other questions you might have. The research on this was extensive, took a long time. We had some of the best minds in the county working on this, all the way from, like I mentioned, Shane, but also Mike McLaughlin and Josh Lehman from our department, as well as Sean Osborne. We looked at this up and down, interviewed, had the companies come in. It's very thorough research. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I don't have any questions for John, but the IT director, if you have comments about the process itself, then I think it's always good when we have an IT project out in the field that we work with our IT department. So if you bring us up to speed on the process.
Yes, Pat O'Bland with the Information Technology Department. As John mentioned, the IT department was involved in the RFP process. At the same time, we're also generating our own sort of response to the RFP, just to make John aware of what IT's capabilities are. So we were playing both sides of the fence, basically, to ensure that either direction this went, IT was involved, and the Parks and Rec Department has done an excellent job of involving us all the way through. But I just wanted to make sure we had out there IT's offerings on this. We do want to make clear that the IT department is capable of providing the requirements that were put forward by the Parks and Rec Department as we went through the RFP process. We're very comfortable that we could deliver on those. We can't do it right now. That's the big differentiator. It would require about a 6-month interval for us to develop what they currently have in their reservations and registration system. We can develop that and deliver currently what they have within about a 6-month interval from the date we begin work. For the rest of the elements that are involved, it would take us an additional 3 months to 6 months, so about a year to deliver what they would like to have in their current list of requirements. We could do this with an investment time of about $200,000 in staff time, including benefits, which sounds like a big number. But that is not something that would hit the Parks and Rec budget. That's just a matter of course of the IT shop's staff time investment. But after that period, there would be no ongoing annual maintenance. So that's the balance from the IT department. There would be changes, adds, new features added, and those sorts of things. So there would be staff time costs associated with that. But we don't know what those would be until we get into them, so we can't give firm figures on that. But just I don't think it'd be anywhere near $30,000. So that kind of in a nutshell is what the IT offering is. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
John, do you have an estimate of what the outside vendor is going to charge? I noticed it wasn't in the agenda.
I don't have that. Josh, do you happen to have that handy? I brought a copy of everything else but that. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Oh, that's okay.
The cost put forward was for development and deployment, $32,000, annual maintenance, $50,000, and ongoing items, which are optional, which would be like things like integrating with our PayPal when we get there, those type of things, $2,500. Well, one of the things that Pat did mention too was the input from his staff and staff time. We've also contemplated how much staff time it would involve a Parks and Recreation staff in developing the new program. And it'd be a lot more than the one buying from a box.
Good to know. Your thoughts, Commissioner Cook?
This discussion coincides with that we had last Thursday with the courts, when we were talking about online training. And I think that, we utilize the IT department when we can, but we have to differentiate when sometimes it might make sense to use outside vendors. And so with the input from our IT department, going with Civics Rec, I think is appropriate in this case. It may not always be the case, but when you look at the amount of time that it's going to take for the IT department to be able to develop it, implement it, the cost, staff time, versus being able to purchase something off the shelf, so to speak, and have it implemented in a much more quicker time frame. I think that we balance those out where we can. And so it's appropriate in this case, but may not always be in the future.
I would just add, now is the time you're kind of going into your slower time of the year that you can give some focus to this. It definitely needs some improvements. It does.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think you would agree. It needs some just user-friendly kind of components to it, and in an effort to boost revenue as well. Just the ease
User-friendly
of
point of
using.
service, we need to begin to implement some of the, all of those type of things.
Right. Okay. I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything to add, but I do think it's important that we consider the expertise and talent in-house, because we've got a lot of it when we have a project like this.
Before you vote, I would agree. Our IT department is second to none
Yeah.
that I know of, and made this decision really difficult.
Yeah, okay. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C2, consider approval of the recommendations of the Professional Services Selection Committee for design and build services for improvements at Lake Shawnee Junior Pond, and authorize Parks and Recreation to enter into contract negotiations with Emery Sapp and Son Bartlett and West Team.
Commissioners, we approached the commission and received approval back in March for a preliminary project budget and to go out for RFPs. We went out for RFPs right after that approval, and we had two companies submit interest in this. As you can see on my memorandum to you, I touch on several of the different, the timeline that we went through using. I would like to also point out that instead of just being Parks and Recreation employees, part of the committee that referred this on to the Professional Services Selection Committee included Tom Flanagan from Public Works, and also Angel Zimmerman from our Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation. That process took a while since I added that extra step in there before it goes to the Professional Services Selection Committee, but basically all of that, they've gone through, reviewed all of the both of the submittals, and on August 2nd, the Professional Services Selection Committee recommended the order of preference that I laid out for you. I do think it's also important that the County Commission know that this is not a new project. It's part of was listed on our 5-year plan of maintenance, and was listed as a 2017 expense, and was also submitted as part of the 2018 project budget request, because I didn't know if we would get to it still this year. Also, I think earlier on a county commission meetings, the comments were made like stress the amount of use and investment in higher use areas and disinvest in low use areas, and also heard invest in amenities that have need but need investment to be successful. I think that's a perfect lines up with this project. I will also point out that the funds used to if this is approved, would be half private dollars coming from the foundation, which is kind of a precedent we've been starting to use with the sound wall at Old Prairie Town and several other projects. But the other half would be coming from our building maintenance fund, which I won't get into explaining how that works for me, but it is user fees. It's not coming from the general fund. With that being said, I do know staff thought the commission might be interested in seeing some of the pictures and some of the rationale behind this. With that, I turn that over to Terry Birtles is the first one to get up.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Birtles, Parks and Recreation. Just going to go through, I know we have a busy schedule today, so I want to go through this, and I'll be quick as quick as I can. John already outlined how we got to where we got. I should mention we have an estimated project budget of $368,000, and in the memo that you received, it talks about that being just that, a preliminary estimate. And during the process going forward, we would meet with our design build team to come up with a guaranteed maximum price, which could be less, could be that, could be more, but we'll come back to you with that number at that time. We did receive 4 proposals. We as a separate committee reviewed all 4, and then we recommended 2 to be interviewed. We interviewed those teams and then made our recommendation to the selection committee, and that's what got us here today. I do want to remind you that Lake Shawnee was named as the best place to visit in Kansas by Expedia 2017. I think additional investments in that location will keep us there. I have for many years not appreciated the look of Lake Shawnee Junior Pond. I thought it was probably one of the last things that we needed to do to really upgrade the look of Lake Shawnee, and here we are. We do have a lot of partners that we work with at Lake Shawnee Junior in the form of fishing derbies and ongoing fishing. But then we also have a lot of people that just see it from the trail and the road as they go by. The condition is not good. We have an eroded shoreline. We have a spillway that doesn't work. We are not compliant with the ADA. We have aquatic vegetation impacts on fishers, and we have water quality concerns as a result of some of that. I'm going to let Rachel Meyer talk about this slide.
Thanks, Terry. Rachel Meyer, Partnership Development Coordinator for Parks and Recreation. As far as our foundation involvement goes, John did mention that we had a board member appointed to the review committee that did assist with making the selection, and she feels very comfortable and confident with the team that we chose and the funding sources. So there are a few that I did want to point out. Another reason why this is happening now is that in 2010 we did create a contract with Dick and Dottie Hanger to create the Family Preserve Endowment. And so, in 2010 that occurred, and we did have a plan to move forward with several phases of the Hanger Preserve project, and this is just one of those phases. So we've also been working with, Friends of Ted Inslee Gardens and the Shawnee Yacht Club, and incorporating the Hanger Preserve into the Arboretum area and both of those areas as well. We do have Mike Gorman here today with the Shawnee Yacht Club. So, if you'd have questions about the group's support on that, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer that. We do also work with Topeka Community Foundation, obviously, with our funds, and they do have some potential grants, anywhere between $5,000 and $75,000 available. Their Donor Central program would allow us to ask some of their current donors whether they're interested in helping, and we've also submitted an application for the Greater Topeka Fund application that is in September. They make that decision. So hopefully on the foundation side, we'll be able to find additional funding for the project. And then also future opportunities down the road, if the pond was renovated, and again, we've talked about several phases. I think we would be able to sell several memorial benches, probably about 10 of them, around the perimeter of the pond. So just another opportunity for the foundation to pay back that amount. If you remember endowments, you're not able to use them until they're fully endowed. And so at this point, we're not able to use that endowment that has been established. So we do have to create other opportunities for funding in the meantime. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And finally, just some pictures of existing conditions, because, of course, a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is some examples of eroding shoreline, and it also, in the background, you see the one kind of accessible route, and I'd say that with air quotes, because I'm not sure that slope on that sidewalk in the background is accessible, but that sidewalk in the foreground, you see how it's eroding out underneath it, the tree roots exposed and so on, adding to, one, concerns about accessibility, and two, erosion into the pond itself. Just another shot. I mean, you can tell by the cow paths, the cattle paths, the people paths, that it gets a lot of use. That picnic table's in the middle of a big dirt area that is at the bottom of a hill, and the water runs right off of that into the pond. This is our spillway. Currently acts as an obstruction to people walking by. The water certainly does not go over it. It goes under and around it. I tried to take a video. The bottom left-hand slide, to the left of that, you can actually see and hear the water percolating under a rock shelf adjacent to the spillway. It's going to the right place. It's just not getting there in the right method. So that's our spillway. Compliance to the ADA, again, the back by the restroom in the top left picture there, that slope is a concern. I guess this is it right here as well. You just can't get an idea of the slope. You see the path going to the bridge that is certainly not accessible, and these are all things that would be corrected as part of the project. Aquatic vegetation, we get some complaints, concerns this time of year about aquatic vegetation because it's hard for kids and adults that are fishing with their kids to be able to get the fish out of the pond. You see the bottom left-hand corner picture is an area where somebody's kind of tromped the weeds down to get out by the water's edge. And I guess I should add, aquatic vegetation is not necessarily a bad thing. That acts as a filtration system to the pond itself. What we're hoping to do is kind of substitute that filtration system by eliminating the erosion into the pond while leaving some options for shallow shore for future vegetation. And then this is the concept that was provided by the design build team of Emery Sapp & Sons and Bartlett & West. We have for years talked about an opportunity for kids to interact with the pond. That would be what you'd see in the top middle. Access around the pond, which is gained by that walk and then this walk with the water feature in between, providing this. So this sidewalk gives access to that side of the pond past the water feature. And then that's an example of one of our fishing derbies. A lot of people, a lot of happy kids. That's all I have. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Terry? Commissioner, do you have any questions?
Commissioner, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have too. I would like to point out, because I know I saw from the look on your face, the fishing pole on the left is actually borrowed from Brian Cole here. That the little pink one is his pole he loaned to somebody.
Discussion, questions?
Move for approval.
And this is to enter into negotiations, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C3, consider approval of projects for the following. A, Hillcrest Family Aquatic Center renovations in the amount of $70,831.75 from the Capital Maintenance Fund, 3R. B, Abbott Teen Center locks and handle replacements in the amount of $4,200 from the operating budget. C, Lingo Livery Stable and Blacksmith Shop roof replacement in the amount of $19,425 from the Capital Maintenance Fund, 3R. D, Western Street fence removal and replacement in the amount of $52,000 from the Capital Maintenance Fund and may include Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation funds.
Commissioners, the first one that the commissioner or the county clerk mentioned was the Hillcrest Family Aquatic Center renovation. Nothing has of any significance has gone on at the Hillcrest Aquatic Center since 1997 in the way of construction. What you have in front of you is a replacement, refreshment of that facility to begin to draw people back. It's currently used fairly heavily during the summer, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions. I think some of these slides, there may be some slides here on this. As I mentioned, 1997 was the last one. Last time we had any kind of major construction there. We have that frog slide too was put in 1997, I believe, and has more than used its useful life. This was, like it says on here, the IMP committee did review this, which is our in-house process. As you can tell, the frog slide is in need of repair. As you can see, it's been repaired many times, but it's in need of replacement now. Some of the things that we're trying to do here would be to begin to bring in some new features so that there's the feel of a new facility going on in that area, and adding some slides like this, it would be what we would intend to put in. I don't know who else, if David is here? Is David here? Yeah, you come on up. Did you want to explain some of the improvements that you're talking about doing?
Good morning, Commissioners. David Alker, Aquatic Supervisor. This pool has, like John said, was in 97s when the last renovation was. A lot of these items were from the 97, from the renovation. This slide here, there is several things wrong with it. We had it inspected this summer. They said it will pass if you plan on doing something with it in the off season. One of the things that we have is one of the joints, that's the support joints. You can move it to a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch back and forth. You get somebody like that, my size on it, it rocks pretty good. Plus, you see on the lower picture, the standards are not strong to the foundation. You have gappage with that. We like to replace it. The water features that supplies it is also non-functional. We would like to replace it with something new, something fresh. That way we don't have to have a water supply there. It's called an Aqua Zip-In. It's one of the newest and hottest items that AquaClimb makes. We do have some of their rock walls. We have that at other facilities. We wanted something different. Bathroom benches, they are original from 1997. They're starting to warp. People sit on them and they kind of do this. You see the bases where they're starting to corrode as well. We're wanting to replace them with a wall mount, kind of like what New Midwest has, what Shawnee North has. That way we don't have this problem of deterioration on the floor. And here we go. Since 2014 vandalism, we've been securing the doors with basically padlock and chain. The chemical doors are deteriorated. Again, these are from 1997. rust, they're steel. We've actually had door jambs that are rusting through. We've had to screw on additional pieces to make the door secure. We would like to replace them with an aluminum door because they are more resistant to the chemicals, the water, the weather, just overall natural environment. And these are kind of looking at the doors, the chemical room. You can see where we've actually put a piece of aluminum over the top of it. The bathhouse, those are the ones that have been damaged so bad that we can't secure them besides padlock and chain. And you can see the oxidation, you can see the age. The pump house door itself, you can see up in the corner where it's that it has deteriorated through the frame. And also we've screwed on some additional metal down at the bottom. And there we go. The west side of the deck is starting to crack and heave. Major toe stumper, plus you're starting to get water in underneath. You're going to create more problems, and eventually it'll get to the basin of the pool, and then it'll start cracking the basin. So this is more preventative / safety hazard things that we'd like to revamp. Roughly 50 feet of the deck we'd like to replace. General facts, general attendance is over 5,000. Our camps, about 280 participants. 1,400 Boys and Girls Club uses it quite a bit. 120 other participants at other camps. Estimated total patrons over 7,000. Estimated total revenue is $22,766.64. Is there any questions that I could answer?
Commissioner Cook?
John, wasn't this one of the first aquatic centers for Topeka, going away from just having a pool, but having aquatic features and the slides and things of that nature?
Yes, this was actually at one point in time had a separate baby pool and a main pool. The renovations in '97, they made the zero depth, added the features that you see. So yes, it was one of the original aquatic centers in Topeka.
In 20 years, we really have the same equipment that we had
Yes.
there when it started.
When's the last time the pool was painted?
Last year.
Last year, okay. Can you know? Commissioner?
Oh, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I like when you bring up data
Okay.
for, revenue and participation. I think that's important. So I appreciate that information. Okay. I guess next item would be B.
The next improvement is the Abbott Teen Center. As you know, we're working with the Boys and Girls Club. They lease that facility from us. They have a tremendous program going, and I don't want to take too many of Susan's talking points here, but we also, as part of that contract, need to make sure that, because this is still our facility, we need to invest in some of these type of repairs and ongoing maintenance. With that, I'll turn it over to Susan Hensler.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Fowler-Hensler, Parks and Rec. This is just a very small project, but an important one. This is just kind of emphasizes of why we need to implement the master plan. It was a simple request for some locks that needed replaced over at the Abbott Center. When I went over there to take a look, the locks themselves, a lot of people carry around a handful of keys, maybe 15 keys per center. So we've been working with Mike Cope and Park Police to work with his key system that he's developed and reduce those number of keys. So I went over to see how many more doors I could add on for the locks and correct this problem. Well, as you can see, this is what the doorknobs look like when I get there. So it's just one of those where our master plan is telling us that we need to set standards for our designs and specifications. These locks are not only broken and not working, but they're not ADA compliant. So this is just a small project to go in and not fix a couple broken locks, but take care of that whole floor at the Abbott Center, get ADA doorknobs in there, and have our lock system upgraded.
Thank you, Susan. Questions?
Commissioners, this item, by your own purchasing rules, does not need to come before the commission for approval. It is something I could just act on myself, but I thought it was important to relate to not only you, but also the community, the repairs and work we're doing all throughout the community. that being said, John Bell is jumping up here to explain a couple of the improvements at the Old Prairie Town.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Bell, Recreation Program Supervisor, Old Prairie Town. The first two projects up here are we need roof replacements at both the Lingo Livery Stable and the Blacksmith Shop. Both of them are maintenance concerns at this point. I have interior pictures. Oh, this one?
Down.
Okay. The Lingo Livery Stable, we use that facility for storage in addition to the upper level being a rental facility. So at this point, we do have some small leakage coming from the roof here. We use this facility to house the Bachman ice cream wagon and then our landau and some of our other items and things that we have in storage. So at this point, that's leaking, and we need to get that one repaired. I do want to note that I did have a roofing company come out to look at repairing it, and he said at this point, it's beyond patching. It needs a complete replacement. And then the Blacksmith Shop roof, it is in pretty bad shape too at this point. The floors are dirt, so this hasn't been high on the priority list for the past number of years. But our goal is to get some electricity to that facility, so at nighttime our blacksmith can work. We do have a resident blacksmith who comes out at holiday happenings and some of our other events. To get electricity to that building, we have to run extension cords out the window, into the cabin window, and it becomes an eyesore and a headache. So our goal would be to, after this roof is repaired or replaced, to get electricity to this building. I might point out, too, the Blacksmith Shop roof, or the Blacksmith Shop building was brought in 1989 in the Lingo Livery Stable in 1991. And from our records, we do not have any records of either roof being replaced since being brought to our property. So both of them are at need of roof replacements. So any questions on either one of those two roofing issues? Okay. And then the other project on the agenda, the Western Street fence. Currently, there's a picture of what our existing fence. It's a chain link fence. It's in my opinion, it's really an eyesore, and it sags in some places. Some of the posts are painted black. Some of them are aluminum. It's kind of a hodgepodge of fence, and it's just kind of an eyesore. It does there are some security issues at play with this. The neighborhood kids use this area to jump back and forth and get into the park, whereas the fence that we would like to replace and install is the black steel fence. Makes it a little bit more challenging to get over the fence, and this will provide a consistent appearance around the park. The black iron fence is what we have on the west end of the property. The aluminum is on the east end. This will provide a consistent look throughout our site, in addition to the sound wall. So. And then I might point out, too, the Friends of Ward Mead did vote to pay half of this project, so not to exceed $25,000. So they're willing to cover half. Any questions? No? Okay.
Questions or comments for John or John?
Thank you.
Thank you, John. What's pleasure?
Actually, can I ask one question? John, so the total cost to replace the fence is $52,
Yes.
but so half would be, okay,
Yes.
all right.
From
Good.
Friends of Ward Mead.
Yeah, but actually, well, maybe I think the Friends Ward Mead maximum was 25, but I would go back if it's just a little bit over 50,000 to make it a 50-50 and see. But either way, we're talking about a couple $1,000s that I'd be okay with too.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the project budgets.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
No, thank you, Commissioners, for making it, by helping us work with this, for using these funds for what we had intended. We asked you if we could use some of these funds. You made it possible for us to do it. And I just want to make sure you know that we are doing the deferred maintenance.
I'm going to ask you a question, though? For 2017, how much did you have projected for deferred maintenance? How much were the needs?
About 1.4 million.
And how much have we been able to do? Do you know?
About 900, about 900,000, I believe, was the number.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next item, please.
Item D has been pulled. E, Commission, number 1, consider reappointment of Dick Kitterman, Mike Morris, Kristen O'Shea, Jim Martin, and Teresa Miller to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Advocate Board.
Commissioners, Randy Libby with Parks and Recreation. Kathleen Cummings' name was omitted, was not on your sheet. She is on the memo. I talked with Jane briefly before the meeting. Kathleen Cummings is a new member replacing Elias Garcia. I see a couple, Dick Ketterman and Jim Martin here. We've been very pleased with the board's progress and highly recommend your ratification.
Thank you, Randy.
Any other questions on the board?
Questions?
I'll move approval and also thank everybody who is serving, and Mr. Ketterman and Mr. Martin, our president, will thank them for their service. And this is a vital part of our Parks and Rec and helps maybe get these projects moving forward to the commission in a better way.
I agree. I'll second.
Motion made to approve the reappointments by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Yes, and I want to say thank you also for your participation. Next item, please.
Item F, Administrative Services, number 1, discussion of 2018 budget, public health, and Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. I will get our worksheet up here. Well, here we go. Okay, and we will be ready to continue our budget discussion and decisions. And I believe today we are scheduled to talk about public health and parks, recreation, and expo.
Very good. Yes, again, the proposed schedule, and it's tentative, is to discuss these items today, and then to talk about law enforcement elections office and Public Works on Thursday, and then to wrap things up next Monday. And that's the tentative arrangement. So let's talk about public health.
Okay, would you like to go down in the order that I have them here? The first item is the ambulance. We have $350,000 that has been requested. That is part of our contract, so that is a set amount, if you would approve that.
That is contractual, and we did an RFP, was it last year, I think, and cut the amount almost in half from what I recall in working with AMR. So I'll move to approve the ambulance allocation of $350,000.
Second.
Motion made to approve for ambulance by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
The next one is animal shelter. This is with Helping Hands Humane Society. We used to have it on an animal count. We changed that to a flat amount. I think 2 years ago, I believe, we changed it to a flat amount.
I'd move to keep that amount to $130,000.
Second.
Motion made to keep the amount at $130,000 for the animal shelter by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. And that motion carries 3-0. Next item is community resources. Yes, Commissioner Cook.
The amount requested is almost double of what was allocated for the last several years. I know that there was some discussion during the budget presentation as to the way the community resources operates, and I know that they are also present. I see Mr. Laughlin at the back of the room as to the request. At this point, not knowing, again, trying to forecast what other needs we may have, I would move to increase the community resources by 10,000 just at this point, and then looking to see where we might be able to, at the end of the day, come to.
Motion dies for lack of a second. Commissioner Bueller, do you have a better idea?
I have a better idea. At this point, I'm not looking to cut any of these, but at this point, I'm not willing to add any. So, having said that, I'll move to
Maintain.
yeah, just maintain the $35,065. Yeah.
And I will second that. Discussion, Commissioner Cook?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I do notice that the City of Topeka cut funding for social service agencies. I think we've had, the state has been involved. I think if we can maintain our commitment to social service agencies, we will be doing the right thing. So
I agree. Just to say
Go
one more
ahead,
thing.
sure.
I think we added about 409,000 to this budget area last year.
Yes.
With budget allocations. So, again, this
Yeah.
is until we're final, but
Yes.
that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Motion made to maintain by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
The next one is Conservation District. They are not asking for an increase.
I'll make a motion to maintain at 42,000.
Second.
Motion made to maintain the Conservation District budget of 42,000 by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
The next item is the coroner, and we are under contract with him and his organization, so that would maintain it at the same level of $535,000.
I'll make a motion to provide $535,000 for the coroner's office.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next area is the health agency, the local health department. They are not asking for an increase. They are asking to remain at the level they had last year.
Move to remain at that level, and that the reason for that is we are in the transition of a new health department director, and so I wouldn't want to make any changes and give that person, whoever we hire, the opportunity to review the budget.
Second.
Okay. Motion made to maintain the health agency budget by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
The next area is the health clinic with Grace Med. That is the amount that is agreed upon by our agreement with them of $889,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next.
Next item is health access.
I will make a motion to maintain at $105,000, which I think is consistent with what we are trying to do with our social service agencies.
Second.
Motion made to provide $105,000 for health access by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next category, or the next line, is Extension Council. They are not asking for an increase, so they're asking to maintain it at $582,312.
So moved. To maintain.
Second.
Motion made to maintain by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next line is Mental Health with Vallejo.
Commissioner Cook.
I'll move to maintain at this point, but as we've talked about before, before we finalize the budget, there may be areas we would want to come back to, such as the community resources or the extension council or health access, or not extension, but health access. There may be areas that we come back to, but to maintain Vallejo at the current rate at this point.
And I think that's a good point. And I think one of the overriding things that we have to consider is how we're going to move, what direction we're going to move mental health in Department of Corrections. That's going to have an overriding impact on everything else that we do, to be honest with you. And I'm going to spend time with Brian and Ten Phelps over the next couple of days to iron out and to think about options that we will have when we discuss this on Thursday. So, but yeah, thank you. That's very important. So, motion made to maintain by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
The next item is Mental Retardation with TARC.
I'll move to maintain.
Second.
Motion made to maintain the TARC allocation by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next is Service Programs for the Elderly.
And I'll move to maintain that amount.
Second.
Motion made to maintain by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
And the last one in this category is Social Service Grants.
Move to maintain.
Second.
Motion made to maintain the $221,931 by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, the next category is Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center. The first line is the Expo Center operating. What I have put in here as a budget request is the amount that Spectra has listed as their pro forma for 2018, and it's also an attachment to our contract that we have with them.
Move to adopt the $986,559.
Second.
Yeah, motion made by Commissioner Cook to accept and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. And again, I want to point out that we went out for RFP for this process, and the bottom line, it saved a little over $500,000 for the taxpayers of Shawnee County. So, motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
The next is the Expo Center, but the capital outlay fund contribution. I am showing a starting budget on that of 0 due to not only some investment that Spectra is going to make into the Expo Center, but also some program funds that will be transferred over to the county that were left from SMG's contract.
So motion to provide 0.
Okay. Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next item is the Fair Association.
Would move to maintain.
Second.
Motion made to maintain the Fair Association at $61,000 by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next is Parks and Recreation.
Couple questions for John.
Oh, okay. John?
The budget includes 1.4 million, correct?
Yes.
For
Deferred maintenance?
deferred maintenance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that list was put together by whom?
A combination of staff, but primarily it was an emphasis from our Shawnee County Parks and Rec Advisory Board, mostly Jim Martin, but he also had several other people on the advisory board helping him. The actual number that he initially came up with was higher than 1.4. We've kind of pared that back down to 1.4 as an annual ongoing deferred maintenance expenses.
Right. So you've got 5 years here of deferred maintenance, and all of them are over $1 million.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess my thoughts are, there's been a really systematic process of going through our deferred maintenance. We have a large number of projects that we need to do. We did not allocate that much money to Parks and Recreation last year. And at some point, we have to get a grip on this and do those improvements. And so I am looking to allocate some additional dollars into the Parks and Recreation budget, but specifically for deferred maintenance. And that amount, I have some ideas, but up for discussion, I guess. I'd like to know your thoughts.
Commissioner Archer?
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
My question is on the deferred maintenance, is it better to have this under the budget for Parks and Recreation or under our capital outlay like we have for other deferred maintenance projects for the county? We have talked about $2 million and allocated $2 million for deferred maintenance throughout the whole county.
I know that this is probably a question that you're intending for Betty, but if you'll recall, the first of this year, I took all of the money that I had in my operating budget on the first working day of the year and transferred that to this capital maintenance 3R fund. If you put that, any monies that you set aside that are identified for deferred maintenance, I would do the same thing and transfer that directly there. And I don't want to go any farther in that explanation. Probably Betty's the better answer.
And as I understand it, right now, in the past, they have had a certain amount of money in their budget that they have used for deferred or for maintenance. And that amount, as he said, he is now, at the beginning of the year, transferring that amount from his general fund budget into his capital maintenance fund. So this would be in addition to that. And that amount was what,
280, I think, is, I could recall.
Is that right?
225.
Okay. My follow-up question would be, if I could, is that we did have the process by which all the departments submitted all their requests. There was a large amount of requests there as well for the capital outlay for just the $2 million. And I don't believe Parks and Rec received all that much in the way of dollars for those projects when it was submitted with everything, correct?
You're talking about
for 17.
For 17, we received funding for the replacement of the artificial turf at Bettis.
So the 225 roughly?
Yes.
Okay. And I know we've talked about having the discussion after the budget, more about capital outlay and projecting it out 5 years. But we still have, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8 million right here just in maintenance, not new projects, just maintenance, in neighborhoods, in our community, like we saw today. Okay.
Has to do with quality of place, I think, doesn't it,
Does.
Commissioner Bueller?
Oh, it does.
And I know you're involved with Momentum 2022, and this sort of augurs well with that discussion, I think.
At this point, again, we have many departments to go through yet. If we were to increase the Parks and Rec budget by $300,000, it'd be a third of what we have left. But we still have Department of Corrections to get through.
Sure.
Yes.
We have a healthy discussion about our mental health yet to go through.
Yes.
And so I think we have to be cautious yet.
I would move to appropriate $300,000 at this point and let it sit there for a while, and then we'll see what happens on Thursday.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Okay.
Can I clarify the motion? Is that
For
to
deferred
designate it
maintenance.
to the 3R
3R
fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
And the last one in this category is noxious weeds.
Move to maintain.
Second.
Motion made to maintain by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, that includes what we had designated for today.
Okay.
The plan was to then, as you had mentioned already, we would talk about elections, law enforcement, and public works on Thursday.
That will be on the agenda on Thursday, and tentatively, we will finalize next Monday, but depending on progress that we make Thursday, we may finalize on Thursday. If I know Betty will sleep better as soon as we do that, so we will try to do our jobs and do that. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Next item, please.
5, Administrative Communications.
Anyone for administrative communications this morning? This is your opportunity to talk.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Gregory, Kansas Expo Center. We had a great event this weekend in Dome Arena. We had the Cowboy Mounted Shooting State and Regional Finals. Competitors from 9 different states were represented in Topeka all weekend. It was a wonderful event. Wednesday, we welcomed the 4-H Clinic into Dome Arena. And then Friday, we have a wonderful day at the Kansas Expo Center. We are welcoming the Kansas Buckskin Association back for their 4th and final show of the year, along with the Capital City Classic Dog Show move in on the same day. So unfortunately, the facility will go to the dogs for the next 10 days, but do look forward to hopefully having some good weather for both events to get moved in, coincided at the same time. On a different note, this weekend is also the big 94.5 Topeka Rodeo in North Topeka. I happen to sit on the board of directors for that, so I'd like to invite everybody out Friday and Saturday night at 8 p.m. To the North Topeka Saddle Club on 72nd and Topeka Boulevard for some great outdoor rodeo action. And I will be back Thursday with some more information on the celebrity pony hop race that we are having on Saturday night.
Very good.
Any questions?
Questions for Justin?
Thank you.
Anyone else for administrative communications? Final call. Commissioner Bueller.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Commissioner Cook.
Not today. Thank you.
Me either. Next item.
Item 6, Executive Session.
There's not a need for an executive session, so we're officially adjourned. Thank you for coming.